Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Super Deluxe Gamescast. It is Thursday, June 16th, and wow, it has been a long, interesting week of game announcements. You motherfuckers are just lucky that I'm here and not sitting in the corner playing Shredder's Revenge right now. Like, this is the shit that I do for you people. Do you have any fucking idea how badly I want to be playing Turtles right now? Because that game fucking rules. Britt, Finn, and CJ knocked that review out of the park. This game is fucking awesome. Turtles is so. What is Brittany doing?
My light fell. Hold on.
Okay, I was like, "What are you doing?" But yeah, you sons of bitches are lucky that I am here and not pretending to be a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle right now. But I am here. We got a lot of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth to talk about. So let's get that shit going right away. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming. I'm just kidding, guys. I'm just kidding. Hello, everyone.
I was gonna say, can we fucking warm up to it first?
How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm hot. It's we are having a historic heat wave in I think most of the country right now. And it's bad. My AC is struggling to keep up. I'm a sweaty they right now.
Yeah. Global warming is a myth, though. Am I right? Am I right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. We've actually.
I'm not even gonna joke about that. I'm sorry.
We've had tornadoes touching down all day, so yeah, it's an interesting time weather-wise. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. I don't think we're going to be able to get into what we've all been playing this week. We're just gonna jump right into all of the game announcements that we've had this past week. And we've apparently got more stuff coming too, because there's that rumored Nintendo Direct that's going to happen at the end of June, which I think everybody agrees is almost certainly a sure thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only question is, where do we start?
I think let's start. We're gonna go backwards, I think. So we can start
with Square.
Yeah, let's start with Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Today, all the related announcements.
Yeah, let's start with the stuff today, and then we can go
Mm-hmm.
backwards to the big Xbox Bethesda showcase.
Yeah. So we're
Final Fantasy VII announcements. This is the first time hearing of this.
So basically we're gonna hop in the old podcast DeLorean and gun it to 88. That's what you're saying. We're gonna take this shit back in time.
So First Soldier, season 3. I think we got a trailer.
What is First Soldier?
It's
Battle Royale.
It's a online. It's a mobile battle royale based in the Final Fantasy VII world.
Yeah. Good.
You didn't know about this? You didn't know this was a thing?
I'm not even particularly a giant FF7 fan, and I like FF7. I just don't.
Why are you talking at the beginning then?
Yeah,
but also like a mobile battle royale based on my most middle Final Fantasy.
It's I've never played it. It's fine. It's an online. Basically, it's Fortnite for mobile phones, but like you're in Midgar, and you can dress in stupid chocobo outfits and run around. Like it was
just a joke. We don't actually need to talk about it.
We don't need to. Okay, thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, because I can't.
I can't fucking talk about that shit. No, so let's start with Crisis Core. Because we got an announcement for Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core reunion.
Hey John, who's on tonight?
What's that?
Hey John, who's on the show tonight?
Who cares? It's the podcast. Who cares?
Wow.
No guests or anything?
You want to talk about who is on here with us?
Fine, guests, introduce yourselves so I can talk about
Considering the
Final
bulk of our
Fantasy.
audience listens to the podcast instead of watches the live stream.
I'm excited about talking about Final Fantasy. Damn it. Who are our guests tonight?
Damn it.
Introduce yourselves. This is your floor. It's your time. Sarah, you go first.
Oh, hi. Yeah, it's me again. I've been working for a big corporate conglomerate. I've been very busy.
So you're a corporate sellout.
I did, sadly now. I mean, they've been great. I can't be mad. I'm here to call this place the Scorncast, and I will not shut up when we get to that. And I'm also available on Game Pass. That's all I'm going to say.
But Sarah, where are you writing?
I'm writing at Movie Phone. I've been covering Obi-Wan Kenobi for the past since that came out. I covered all of Moon Knight, and I don't know what I'm going to be doing after, but I got to talk about Ewan McGregor's mullet the other day, so that was fun.
It's a pretty glorious mullet. I'm not gonna lie.
It
Like,
is.
it's not bad. It's feathered. It's lethal. It's pretty good. I like it. Hi, Blaine. Blaine is another guest. Blaine has been on a few times. Hello, Blaine.
Wait, why? Okay, there. I thought my mic wasn't picking up. Hi.
No, you're good. You're good, Blaine. You're all good. Now, Blaine doesn't like write or work in the industry. Blaine is just a friend.
Basically, I mean, I am trying to write again. In fact,
You're trying to.
Things are going in my head more recently, but I haven't. I finally got another job that actually pays decent money, and I'm trying to get that straightened out and get my schedule worked out, get my life straightened out, and then everything else should follow.
Yeah. You know how it is on this bitch of an earth.
Oh yes, I do.
All right. So we are, of course, happy to have our podcast guests here, community members and friends. Yeah, it's gonna be a really cool conversation tonight. So yeah, Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion. Right off the bat, and I dropped a kind of a comparison picture for the podcast team here in our little Discord chat. But right off the bat, to me, this is far more of a remake than it is a remaster. And I'm talking from a visual
crazy to me.
From a visual standpoint. Derek, what was that?
I said, I mean, look at that. That looks crazy to me.
Yeah, so you can see it if you're watching the podcast live. You can see it on the screen right there. Come on, guys, that's not a remaster. That's a
also
fucking
just
remake.
to note, that is the FF7 remake battle system.
Yes, it is.
The menu there.
It looks like they've dropped the slot system completely. Yeah, Brett? Like, that's kind of what I'm taking away from this.
Well,
I hope so.
It seems to be up in the corner,
Yeah,
just
it still
not
seems
like
like it's there.
The like slot looks all Final Fantasy 7-y.
Yeah, but like I have serious doubts as to whether or not it's going to operate the same way as it did in the original Crisis
I'm sure
Core
it'll be
game.
adapted in some way.
I think just because the remake is so globally loved, especially for its combat, they're probably leaning heavily towards that instead of just relying on the random fucking die.
Now,
Well,
I
and,
didn't watch the stream, so the Crisis Core remake, let's just call it a remake at this point. Terminology doesn't matter.
Nothing
what
matters.
systems is this for?
All of them.
all
It's
of
for
them.
everything. Switch even?
Yeah.
Switch.
Okay.
as well.
I can't wait for my Switch to burst into flames as I attempt to play this. My poor
I mean, that's
OLED
where I'm
is
gonna buy
burn
it.
my hands off.
Mhm.
Crisis Core. So I actually played Crisis Core for the first time in Afghanistan.
Crisis
back when I
Core
had a
for the
PSP.
N gauge.
Yeah. Well, I'm more of a Gizmondo kind of guy, Derek.
Oh
but
my
I see
God.
what you're saying.
Excuse you, Crisis Core on the Ouya. Is
But
that what
hey,
Ouya.
there's no disparaging the Ouya on this podcast. But
There's no
Jeff
remembering
had his
the Ouya.
mic muted. But yeah, no. So
He took a drink.
he
I don't need a
So
reason
if
to
you
take a
look-
drink.
everything is so like if you look at it, like Derek, can you bring that picture back up real quick so people in chat can see this? Because I want to go over something here. Everything, and Brittany touched on this, but if you look at
You're
everything
gonna see
from
everybody I've DM'd on the
well,
left.
from the UI to the damage numbers, they are really wanting this to sync up with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh, yeah.
It's very and I think that we're going to get some story changes for this to kind of line up with what we witnessed at the end of Remake itself.
I was
they
actually
are-
thinking the exact same thing, John.
Yeah.
So was I.
A mutual was kind of talking a little bit about it, that she was thinking like, oh, I just don't think there's any way Nomura is going to be able to resist doing at least a little bit of a change up. What I wonder is maybe is it going to be like you beat the game and maybe you get the ending that was originally in Crisis Core, which breaks my fucking heart, and then maybe it says like, oh, try to play the game again for a new twist on the ending, and then you see it's like more akin to the ending of Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And, I mean, obviously looking at that, like, look at that top picture. It screams 7 Remake.
Can
It looks
can I add-
fantastic. Oh,
Can
sorry,
I add
Britt.
something to that? Why I think they're going to add in a changed ending as well?
Yes.
Because they replaced the original voice actor with the new voice actors for both Zack and Aerith.
Really?
Yep. It's
So
the people from
is-
7 Remake doing the voices.
okay,
in the
all right.
game.
Is Eris in Crisis Core? Sorry, Eris.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so that's interesting. Oh, we've had some of those voice actors on this show. No, that's fantastic fucking news. And I am so happy that Crisis Core is finally breaking away the shackles of the PSP. That game was way too fucking good to be locked on.
I'm excited for people to experience the greatness that is Zack Fair, because
Yes.
Final Fantasy VII does not do him enough justice. He is like,
yeah, I never played Crisis Core, so like
Me
that's a
neither.
whole
You're in for a
avenue.
treat, dude.
Him and
So
Cloud
I-
are so gay. It's crazy.
So I had a PSP when I was very small, and I held that thing until it literally broke. Like I had to replace the little thumb pads like 4 times, and it broke like months before Crisis Core came out, and my parents didn't let me buy
Wait,
another
hold on.
one.
Just because I have to ask, Sarah, how old were you when this happened?
Fuck, hold on. I have to do the math. Give me a
Do
second.
you really want to be hurt tonight, John?
Yeah, I was about
just-
to say you don't want this.
Because
Uh.
when this game came out, my son had already been born, and I was a 28-year-old man in Afghanistan.
Hold on, I'm doing. Now my internet.
You know what? I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
I'll
Forget it.
tell you because I just
You already
found out.
asked, John.
What
You
is
gotta
it, Sarah?
fucking-
What
I
is it,
want to know.
Sarah?
I was 9 goddamn years old.
18, 19.
I was like 15 or
the
16.
year that I played Gears of War, I had a PSP. And then it
Wait,
broke,
what
and I
year
couldn't
was
play
it?
Gears of War.
What year? It was 2007, 8, right?
2005 was the PSP.
Oh no! The game Crisis Core.
I don't
07.
Oh 07? Yeah, I had
So
just
I was 16
graduated.
then.
That's
Yeah, I
really-
never got to play it because my PSP broke. And the one thing I want to bring up that people don't really know about this game that I learned from a wonderful YouTuber is that
9.
is that Genesis, so like the character Genesis is based off of the Japanese J-rock artist Gact. Like they literally use
gacked.
Yeah.
I'm not joking about this. They use Gact as a face model,
Yes, they
and
did.
he voices him in the Japanese version of the
Well,
game.
and that Sarah is apparently why we haven't seen this
Yes.
game come back
Mhm.
until now
I-
because of licensing
Yeah.
issues with Gact.
I've
And
seen
Um,
debates
Genesis
also of like there might be a
fucking
song
gagged.
that he was involved in the game, like
Yes,
that plays
he
at a
recorded
certain
a song.
point.
Genesis still looks Genesis still looks like Gact like,
does.
in that stuff that they showed.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much money they dumped at Gact's doorstep, but oh my god, that's the reason why we're finally getting this.
It would
Yeah.
kind of
Gact
be
is
like
finally
if
fine.
it would
They
be kind of
paid
like
back.
if Final Fantasy 12 never got re-released because one of the characters was modeled off Justin Timberlake.
Oh
Like,
my god, you're right.
It's
Yeah.
exactly that. Like,
Well,
That-
see what weirded me out is whenever Crisis was a thing, like announced, like this is a thing, it's going to be the whole Final Fantasy storyline, but we're going to put it on mobile. So if you can't get those old games, you can at least know the story. I was
looks
like,
so
that's
cute.
it does look cute, but I was like, that's our Crisis Core remake.
It
We're not
does.
getting it. We're not getting it. And then
So-
this drops, and I'm like, oh my god, these bastards actually did it.
So here's what we have to come to grips with, right? Is that you know that Genesis is going to be in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Hell yeah,
know
he is.
Now I don't know how I feel about that because Genesis isn't
I-
You know
not
what
my
I
favorite-
said?
my
I hope
favorite character.
I hope they bring Cisne back. Like, give me a Cisne Elena team. Let me see those two together.
Wait, who is Siste?
she was
Cisne
the
is-
Turk with red hair.
Yeah.
you know how
She
weird
has-
it is
she
to
has a
not
weird
know about
bathing
Final
suit
Fantasy
scene.
things
The
somebody's
Turk with red hair,
talking
because I
about.
never
It-
beat
Derek-
Crisis Core. I
Derek
played like
looks
the
lost
first
in his
3
own mind.
levels. and
Derek,
never played
hold
more
on.
of it.
You'll like her. Hold on.
Thank you.
Oh no,
That's-
Derek will thirst over.
I don't
Cisne.
like how that was stated with
Wait,
total assuredness.
No.
Well, I mean, she's right though, Derek. I mean, she's 100% right. So here's what we're gonna see in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and like I feel like we can combine that with the Crisis Core conversation, right? Like you're gonna see Genesis, you're gonna see groups like Deep Ground. Is it Deep Ground or Deep Eyes? I can't remember what the hell's the
Ground.
name of that.
Deep Ground.
Deep Ground, right?
Sorry, John.
It-
No, I was
Go
just
ahead.
to say before we move on to Rebirth, can I weigh in on Crisis Core real quick?
Oh no, like we're just jumping back and forth. between
Oh,
so
sorry.
please.
Okay, got it. Cool. Want to make sure I didn't miss the boat.
ahead.
No, it's just like, so I had a PSP Go, which was the digital version of the PSP.
Oh, you had a good one. PSP Go was the shit.
It was awesome, but because of the aforementioned licensing issues, Crisis Core never got a digital release. And
That's right.
most of you have been on the podcast with me for years. Up until Final Fantasy 14, Final Fantasy 7's been my favorite game of all time forever. So it's like always been really, it's felt really weird having my like such a huge piece missing. Like, you know, 5x7, my favorite game, and having no fucking idea about like Zach, who everyone always talks about.
Yeah.
It's a really weird to like be such a huge fan of the game and then like talk with people and then everyone brings it up and I'm like, well, okay, I guess I got to tap out. So I'm pretty excited to try it, but I'm also a little worried that it's not going to live up to the hype that I've been waiting for like 15 years. Because in theory, this should also be one of my favorite games of all time once I play it.
Well,
So I'm interested to see, but I'm going in with an open mind. I mean, you know, like I love Final Fantasy VII. It's hard to imagine not liking this.
the one thing I would maybe advise you do, and I mean this with total sincerity, is before you play the remake of Crisis Core, yeah, go back, play Final Fantasy VII, the original, one more time, and make sure you go through, because you know you were saying, we were talking in the game chat before, and you were like, well, I never really got Vincent. I didn't really get to all those little nooks and crannies, because when you beat that game originally, you were like not really looking on the internet, you were just playing it, and you would have never found all those things. If you find the stuff, like specifically there's the scene you can see with Cloud and Zack as they're escaping Shinra Mansion, and if you can find the stuff with Vincent and Lucrezia, then I think, and not that Vincent Lucrezia stuff is integral to what I'm talking about, but it's also just good to see.
Well, it's just going to hit much harder.
Well, if that stuff strikes a chord with you at all, especially the stuff with Cloud and Zack, then play Crisis Core, because then that game will live up to the hype, because it was all an expansion on those little themes of Cloud is not who he thinks he is, and now Crisis Core is, now we get to see the true story of what Zack experienced and how Cloud met him. That will live up to the hype if you end up having that attachment to those characters after you replay 7.
Crisis,
Also,
go ahead.
And I hate to annoy you, but I will say this all the time. Please watch the complete edition of Advent Children 2, because it has way more like Zack in it, and he's not just like that mythical plot ghost where you only see his back all the time.
Okay,
like,
so I actually want to jump off something Sarah just said there. How many of us were like in the back of our minds like, fuck, they're gonna end with the trailer for Advent Children 2, aren't they?
No, I would have cried.
That actually.
I
Like,
would have
shit.
lost my mind.
Shit, they're really gonna do this. They're really gonna, but no, they didn't. No, they didn't.
No, and it's like, I'm not just joking about that. The complete version of that movie has more of Zack and Cloud's like friendship in it and makes it more of an integral part. And I know that you didn't like Advent Children, and that's fine. Not many people do, and that's okay. But the complete
I feel like
edition
most
is
people
so
do.
important.
But yeah, we'll see.
So I gotta say, like, I was stunned. Like, I wasn't stunned that we got a look at Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Like, we figured that they were going to close on that. Excuse me.
I was surprised we got a trailer and saw what we did.
Well, no, Jeff, what I was stunned by was the fucking release window.
Yeah.
Like,
it's next winter,
it's
right?
not going to hit that.
Yes.
But
I don't know, man.
It might do it. Like, it fucking might.
If
Like,
they actually got to work like not long after Intergrade released,
Yeah.
it's hard because I think we all know it's not one.
We're used to Nomura games taking like 8 years because.
But there's a reason why it took 8 years, though.
But he's also not the director, right? He's the executive producer.
That's true.
The part I struggle with is we know it's not 1-to-1 because of the changes they're making. We know it's not exactly going to play out the same way. But like when you think about the original game, how much like the part 1 was like 5%. Like when you think about how much shit there is left to cover, it's just really hard for them. If you imagine, like they did Cosmo Canyon, Nibelheim, Rocket Town, like Temple Ancient, like when you go through that, like to do all that in 3 years, like at least even just the major pieces, you know, I'm sure they cut out. We already know Fort Condor's probably not there because it's a mini game now. But
is it a spoiler?
It's in the Yuffie DLC for Condor.
Yeah.
I haven't played that yet.
Is it a spoiler at this point to just acknowledge that this really isn't a remake anymore?
No,
like,
no, it's not a spoiler.
Especially looking at Rebirth, it's like we're really going in different directions. We're really off the path of remake.
You know, it's interesting, Derek and I had a conversation on the phone a couple hours ago in which like Derek made a good point. He's like, we're in uncharted territory now when it comes to Final Fantasy VII. And that's fucking exciting to me. Like, I know that some people are like, oh, it's not holding true to the spirit of the original game. But I'm like, that's good. That's very
is.
good.
Well, also, it's not out yet, so you can't say that it's not true to the spirit. Like, you can make changes and
That's
still
true.
honor it.
Okay,
I mean,
but
I
like,
think it's
Right.
I think it's gonna make some pretty
mhm.
major
The
changes.
comparison
I mean, I
that
think
I
it'll make
use-
changes, but I think Jeff
Mhm.
is talking about again like the spirit, right? It's not going to
Right.
be a one-to-one
like the
remake.
main. Yeah,
will
you're
keep
gonna
the
do
pl-
this, and this, but like
it
the,
will keep
the way
the
you
most
get
important
there.
plot beats probably, and it will keep
Mhm.
with things going maybe different one way or another, or maybe getting
Yeah.
truncated. But you will keep a lot of the same themes. You will explore a lot of the same territory. It's just gonna go kind of different.
The comparison I used earlier is probably not a lot of Star Trek nerds on the show, but to me, it's like the Kelvin timeline in the Abrams movies, where like they did the time travel thing at the beginning and basically said, okay, now that changed everything. So like we can do whatever we want, but
Yeah.
they still cover a lot of the same original. Like they went and brought back Khan in the
Yeah.
second movie. Like they still cover a lot of the same beats and reuse a lot of the same stuff. It's just they're not beholden.
That's a good
to
comparison, actually,
that.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Well, that's what it
think.
feels like, especially with the ending of 7 Remake being what
Yeah.
it is. Like, I actually don't want to spoil anyone who hasn't literally played it, but like, it was a big sign of like, hey, so this was your one-to-one for the most part. From here on out, we want to do our own thing. And my biggest worry was that after that ending, they weren't going to commit to it. But this trailer to me seems like that. No, they are actually going in their own direction. So even if they're not like, because I was always like, okay, if that was a one-to-one thing, but they're splitting it up in multiple games, it feels like they're just trying to fucking get more money out of us for basically the same game. But if they're actually going to do different things, then I'm like, no, then I trust that you can make like 3 like 24-hour games or whatever to go over the same basic ideas, but have it be its own story.
So one thing I will point out, and this is the same that people were saying about Kingdom Hearts 3 to 4, is that the groundwork of 7 Remake is already there. The combat's
Right.
already there, the character models are already there,
Mhm.
all of that is already there.
Yep.
So, and we can even say, because I know Derek brought up earlier, oh, well, they might have started this after Intergrade. I don't believe that. I believe they split into 2 different teams, and
That's
one
almost
team went and did
certainly how it
Intergrade.
actually went down.
okay,
Yeah,
so
and the
there
other
are-
team went to do Rebirth. When you keep in mind, this is the same when we saw 16. I almost said 14. That game already had English voice acting, and now we're at the point where they're like, hey, the game's fully playable. We're just fixing stuff. They could easily be at the moment doing English voice acting for Rebirth while finishing up on all the brand new stuff. And if you think from when Remake came out to Rebirth coming out, let's say they stick with that like winter 2023 date. I don't know game development, let's just be honest here, but if they're working from the ground up with
Mhm.
like all the new stuff but keeping the combat and the models and everything, it's very feasible that they could get it done by winter 2023 and have it out by
Here,
Yeah, I think it's
there are-
realistic.
there are 3 things I want out of the future of Final Fantasy VII. 1, like Jeff said in the chat, I want the Junon marching mini game. That has to fucking be in there.
Mm,
Yes. 2,
we,
I want the
I hate
fucking
we don't
enemy
need that
with
kind of
John.
malicious sponsorship anymore.
2,
I didn't think about it from that perspective.
2. I want the enemy named Christopher to pop up. I
Oh,
just
we
want to
gotta
fight
fight
a
a
guy
Christophers.
named fucking Christopher. Like it's fucking Christopher in the house, like just jumping around and causing
Wait.
chaos. And 3, I want the motherfucking Palmer boss fight. That's what I want.
Yeah,
Hit
that's
by the
gotta
truck at
happen.
the
You
end?
know that'll be in there for sure.
No,
I
the
want
Tifa-
Palmer
this
to be
Ti- the
jumping
Tifa
around.
Scarlet fight.
I
is
want
what
I
needs to
want
be in
I
there.
want to see an entire team of fucking superpowered fantasy characters trying to beat up a 60-year-old overweight man with a gun who then gets hit by a truck. Like that's what I want to see out of Final Fantasy.
You know what I
VII
really want?
I mean, they did the house.
They did, yeah.
They
that's
did
true.
do Hell House.
That's
I really
true.
just want Sid to yell at me and tell me to drink my goddamn tea.
Yes, absolutely.
I want
Square,
Sid
I'm
and I
available to
want-
voice. Square, I'm available to voice Sid if you need someone.
I will. So I will say this about the timeline: if everything goes as according to plan and does not get pushed, we will get Crisis Core 6 months. Then in 6 months, and then we're gonna get Final Fantasy 16 next year, and then right after that, we're gonna get Rebirth. So
What
for
a
the next
year.
6
Hold on.
months.
Mhm.
And
We're
then
gonna
after
get
that,
another 14
FF9
expansion in there
remake.
too.
Yeah,
What-
you're
what
right.
was that,
We're gonna
Jeff?
get a 14
We're gonna get a-
expansion.
14
Yep.
expansion as well. Yep.
So-
in that mix somewhere too.
And
so.
we're also going to get Final Fantasy Tactics Remastered. There's a Final Fantasy IX remake floating around out there.
And we might get that Tactics Ogre remake that got leaked onto the Sony network.
Oh no, we know we're getting that.
We
That's
know, but I'm
gonna-
saying we might get it next year. Is what I'm saying.
And no, I think we're getting it this year. And then
Oh,
you know
fair
the
enough.
fucking Pixel remasters are coming out in console at some point. The next fucking
It's a good
year,
time.
year and a half
I want
for
it
Final
to.
Fantasy fans are it's going to be fucking could be
Excuse
juicy.
you. Not even Final Fantasy fans. We're getting Kingdom Hearts fucking 4 somewhere in that if Nomura would just shut up and actually rest for goddamn
I
5
don't-
seconds and
I don't
be,
think
I'm
you're going to see
scared
that
of
next
Remake
year.
3.
But
And it's like, stop it.
the other thing I wanted to mention, and I'll mention this quick, is well, then I got a question for the group, but Ever Crisis looks great, and I am really sad
Mhm.
that it's locked on mobile.
Yeah, same.
You know, like it's a really
wasn't-
cool.
It looks
wasn't
really
the
good.
it does. Wasn't the Final Fantasy 15? Wasn't that mobile only, and then they brought it over to Steam?
Yeah, this seems a
Yes.
little different.
Steam and
though.
Switch, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I
can
mean,
see
I guess
them
it's
doing the same thing.
I guess it's possible. I mean, this is episodic apparently.
But what a
so
shame! It would be such a good Switch game.
It would. Yeah, it
if
really would.
anything. But I have a
Um,
tablet, so I'm not worried about it.
So I've got one question for the group before we move on to the next topic. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Release window of winter next year. Now Jeff pointed out earlier that winter could mean early 2024. So and he's
They said
right
winter
about that.
23
They-
though, right?
Yeah,
they-
it said winter
no-
2023.
No, they didn't.
No,
They
it
said next winter.
It said next winter.
Thank you,
Oh.
Jeff.
And winter
said
in
next
Canada
winter.
goes till like May. So
Right. Well,
so-
yeah.
So
We're not gonna look at
realistically,
the time here.
Well, no, legitimately, it goes. It's like February is the end of winter, technically, if I remember correctly.
so
yeah.
realistically, when is this coming out? Is it coming out at the end of 2023 or
I think
early
they want it to
2024?
Yeah.
hit for holidays of 23.
Yeah.
They are prepared for
Mhm.
it to need another
Yeah.
month or two of polish.
I
That
think
sounds
we
good.
get
We'll
it
see.
in early spring of 24 is my
Next
guess. Like
fiscal
that March.
Naysayers is what I
March or,
say.
like when did
So
Yeah, it-
where's Brit at? Where's Brit at?
What?
Where are you at on this?
I just said naysayers. I think they're gonna do it. I
Yeah,
think
20,
it'll be
2023.
released next year. Just
do it
because
too.
they got a lot of shit on their plate, like, and I think they know better by now than put a date and then not being able to meet it.
I think that's why they
Um,
didn't put 2023. Rar was asking in the Discord,
Yeah.
why didn't they just say winter 2023? I'm like, because if you say next winter, you got a little bit more time.
Yeah,
exactly.
you do.
Yeah.
That's a
Like,
solid point.
But so either way, like even if it's not in December, like if it's in January, February, I mean
That's still
like,
pretty.
It's in the
less than
ballpark.
any-
Yeah.
I think that's where it's ending up to. I agree with what Derek said. Like they want it to be holiday, but they know that if they say holiday and they don't meet that, then they're gonna have people going like,
I'll say this much though. With
It's a
the
great
with
gamer
the,
impression, Blaine. By the way.
Thank you. I'm
we're
working
not
on
wait,
it.
you know what? After the wait for Final Fantasy VII Remake and Final Fantasy 15, it is so nice to see Square Enix like start to screw down tighter on this shit and like get
I'm
serious
sorry.
about getting games out in a relatively timely manner. Like it
Mhm.
it feels like they're back on the ball with this shit. And
How-
it's,
as a
it's
Kingdom,
really
as
nice
a
to see.
Kingdom Hearts fan who waited 10 years, graduated high school, junior college, and got my bachelor's degree before Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. I completely agree with
Yeah. That's,
Well,
like Kingdom Hearts 4 is another great example, right, Sarah? Like of Square Enix just like buckling down and saying, "Okay,
Yeah.
let's get fucking games out in a timely manner."
with that really, really quick. Like it's the same that I mentioned about Rebirth. The groundwork is already there. The combat's there. The character models are there. Everything's already there. And from what I've read, going from Unreal Engine 4 to 5 is really easy. So I don't think we're gonna wait another 8 goddamn years.
No, I
I
don't think so.
legitimately think that this is coming out like 2024 at the earliest.
Mhm.
Because like Nomura's actually been, he just spoke with Game Informer about it when he clearly said that they weren't going to be talking about it. He dropped a lot of story bombs in Game Informer's interview, basically revealing who the villains are going to be, that how many Disney worlds there are going to be. So I truly think that this isn't another like 8-year wait. I truly think that you're right. Square's like, okay, we have the groundwork, it's here. You guys aren't going to restart the game like three times. It's going to get done, so we can put this out after we have the big Final Fantasy push of like 2023, 2024. So
Well, so the thing is you know, and I want to be Final Fantasy. Like I love Final Fantasy. I love SquareSoft. Or Square. I keep wanting to say SquareSoft, even when I'm 42 years old. I could talk about Square Enix and Final Fantasy all day long. But Derek, something else happened today.
I was the only person related to this podcast that was not watching the Final Fantasy presentation.
What, Derek, what were you paying
Because I was
attention
watching
to?
something else at the exact same time. So earlier this week, let's tell the story of how this came to be, because it's very funny.
I just love that these were both 10-minute long streams.
I
And
know,
they just couldn't
right.
fucking avoid each
Earlier
other.
this week on Monday, Capcom had a stream which was entirely dedicated to pre-existing, like pre-announced games. They made it very clear it was only for pre-announced games.
God.
Of course, a bunch of people still went in expecting they'd see Dragon's Dogma 2, which is not the most unreasonable thing in the world, since it's the worst kept secret and it was supposed to be out pretty soon according to the original leaked timeline, which we know was before COVID affected everything. And we got, hey, here's Street Fighter. It's great. Here's Resident Evil 4 remake, a tiny bit more details. Resident Evil 8 expansion, patches for Resident Evil games, yada, yada, yada. It's great. They had a segment on Dragon's Dogma, and everyone thought, okay, this is going to be the one new announcement. They're going to talk about Dragon's Dogma 2. And they said, tune in on Thursday for a special Dragon's Dogma only stream, which was the funniest thing that has happened in ages.
I still feel bad because I remember watching that. I went to post a tweet because I was ready. I was gonna say, I was like, oh, someone go hold Derek, and then they didn't announce it, and I was
And then
like,
you were
okay,
like,
never
somebody
mind.
go hold Derek.
I was like, never mind, y'all. My bad.
Derek, I felt so bad. for
No,
you.
here's the
Wow,
thing.
man.
I
Like,
wasn't really expecting, because they said
I didn't know
that
they
it would
said
be
that.
for previously announced games.
right, but
So,
it's just like they literally
it turns
announced the
out
announcement.
that it's not a good idea to like assume that these companies are lying when they're trying to keep your expectations low. But
No,
anyway,
for real. That's how Nintendo fans get crazy.
right?
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, of course, that they did announce a Dragon's Dogma franchise-specific stream for today, just a couple hours ago, which is very funny because you might as well have just announced Dragon's Dogma 2, because it's the only fucking reason you do a Dragon's Dogma franchise.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's one game and there's a really bad animated series we all pretend does not exist.
They keep pushing it
a
in those
real-
talks.
a
I-
real
Clips in
fucking
there. They
bad.
snuck it in.
I've never seen it. I
It's-
saw that they
don't,
put it in there
it's
though.
bad.
It's
It's
not good, it's
bad,
awful.
bad. It's real bad.
Ooh.
But anyway, and at the end of the stream, which was, I like Dragon's Dogma, and I like Itsuno, and I could hear him talk about things, but like 12 minutes of the man just talking about like, I like RPGs, but I also like action games, and I wanted to make an RPG that was
RPG.
fantasy where you press a button and it make attack button. Only for them to get to the end and unzip their hoodies and show the Dragon's Dogma 2 shirts and be like, that's it.
Dude, that's like
That's what we got. Dragon's Dogma 2 right
Wait,
here on
wait,
the titties.
Hold on. Who was the guy who used to work for EA and Xbox who like would show tattoos to announce games?
Oh,
like,
shit.
this-
Oh my god.
Who was
Peter
that?
Moore. Peter Moore.
Was it Peter Moore?
Yes. It was
Huh.
Peter Moore.
I-
This is that same fucking energy, Derek,
I-
for a new era, for a
Yeah.
new generation.
I love the T-shirt thing. I think the RE2 remake team did something similar.
Yeah,
But
it's
that was-
cute.
But that was so early, and this has been floating for so long. And like Derek said, it was supposed to be close to being out.
Yeah,
I just
Dragon's
couldn't
Dogma
believe
2 was
we didn't
supposed
get-
to be out like
Yeah,
by the end of
now.
the summer, and it was gonna be out well before Resident Evil and Street Fighter, and it
Yeah.
now kind of looks like it's gonna be not only well after both of those games but like it may
Yeah.
not be that far
I'm
along
sure
in
it got
development.
retooled or revamped. At
I think
some point.
COVID hit that team hard. I mean,
We're also
what if he had
now in
just, like-
next gen, so
yeah.
What if he had just like ripped off his shirt to reveal Dragon's Dogma 2 tattooed on his abs in like old English font? Like I
Dragon's
don't-
Dogma anime season 2?
No.
That was my
Look at
greatest
these
fear.
curls.
That was my greatest fear, was that was what they would actually announce. But we got Dragon's Dogma 2. All is right with the world. Me and Wout are the only two human beings, I think, that were watching that stream. But
you
I
were.
do feel
I
really-
got
went and
fed.
I bought Dark Arisen today and have it installed because I was like, okay, now that it's
Yes.
announced, I should probably just beat this really great game I
excellent,
keep hearing about.
wild fucking
I want
game.
it on the record. I like Dragon's Dogma a lot. I didn't beat
Yeah.
it, but I put a lot of time into it. I just wasn't gonna watch this.
What's
over
funny
a
is that
Evan
like
stream.
there's so much of that game that a lot of people have never experienced because they think, oh, I got close to beating that game, and it's like, no, you got close to beating the first half, like
I do feel
pre-expansion.
really bad for like people who are super hyped for that because like I remember thinking, okay, I'm gonna tamper my expectations for this Final Fantasy stream. We're not gonna see anything, and Square Enix
was
is just
great.
throwing shit at you. And then over there, I just hear the very slight applause of Dragon's Dogma fans saying,
They
"It's
put it on the
real!
shirt.
It exists!"
Yeah.
You're like, "Yeah, Rebirth!"
I can
So-
finally breathe again.
So okay, clearly this is a long way off. Like, right? Like this
Yeah.
is
I think
not something that's
here's
coming
the
out
thing.
soon.
I don't think it's necessarily that early in development, right? Because we know that it's been in the works for a while. We know that Itsuno and his team have been free since they were done with Devil May Cry 5 Special Edition. You know, so they've been working on it for a bit. I think it's just a matter of they've got Street Fighter and Resident Evil and Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak and Exoprimal that are all coming in a reasonable, you know, within the next year or so, and they need to push those games. And that's why we're not seeing anything about Pragmata, right? Even though Pragmata was gonna be out this year and only got pushed to early next year, is just like they got to get some shit out of the way first. So
Do you think it maybe? Sorry, Derek.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if Dragon's Dogma maybe hit late next year or early 2024. I don't think it's like years and years off. I just think
it's the same timeline as Remake Part 2, like that
Kinda,
same kind of.
yeah.
Well, that's what I'm wondering because they've pretty much laid out, you know, like Resident Evil Part 4. Resident Evil 4 is coming out. They said the beginning of 2023, right? And they're already near the end of development. They're showing us the trailers, the gameplay, everything.
Yeah.
So I guess what they're trying to do is just stagger not just expectations, but also like, you know, this is the reveal that they originally planned to do before they had anything worked out, and they still kind of want to follow that flow of like, okay, so maybe a year from literal release, they'll be like, okay, here's a gameplay trailer, and it's going to be out in like 9 months, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Or 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to say. We'll see more. Itsuno's a competent project manager, right? This game's not going to sit and flounder and need to be rebooted a bunch of times. This game is going to come together. So
I actually didn't know that Itsuno was also did he direct? And he directed the original game.
yes.
It
Was
was
he?
right before Devil May Cry 5.
Was because I know people, you know, one of the other worst kept secrets in the gaming industry is that this was originally a Berserk game before they lost the license, but still wanted to make their own game of it. Was Itsuno always attached to it, even when that would have still been a thing, you think, or was it more like they brought it?
Yeah, it
Interesting.
seems
Because
like
even
that
before
thing.
Berserk may or may not have been attached, like Itsuno has wanted to do that, and that's a big part of what they talked about in the stream today. Was Itsuno always wanted to do a big, like, fantasy action RPG that felt like the experience of playing online, but being a single player experience. So a lot of the core concepts of Dragon's Dogma have been there from the beginning. So,
Okay.
Can
That's
I
cool,
just say
though.
really quick before we move on? I've actually met Itsuno. He's a super nice guy, even though
Yeah, he
speaks,
seems like
little to no
a
English.
great dude.
Yeah, I met him at
great dude.
GDC 2019, like right after Devil May Cry 5 came out,
Yeah.
and I apologized for beating the game on human, and he laughed and he was like, "It's okay, it's okay." And I was just like, "I'm so sorry, I suck." And he's like, "It's okay, it's okay."
That's the mark of a
but-
good game developer. He's not going to give you shit for beating on an easy difficulty.
Yeah.
But
Eric, I'm
from
just
all that
happy.
From all that
I'm
I've
sorry.
heard, he's no, sorry. From all that I've heard,
No,
yeah,
no,
this
no.
game, he's a great director, and yeah, this game, it is coming out. It 100% is coming out. I don't know, like I don't know anything. I'm not saying, but from what I know about his work on DMC5 and how he pushed for that game to be the way that it was, and that Capcom trusted him enough after DMC5 to allow him to do Dragon's Dogma 2.
Yeah.
This game is 100% coming out.
It's going to
This
be
is
a
like
very
his baby.
pure game, and it's going to be the most game we've seen in a long time, because Itsuno does not compromise for making things extremely like mainstream, I guess. I don't really know how to put it, but Dragon's Dogma was going to be fucking weird, and I'm happy for that.
Are you trying to say he's
I'm
kinda
happy
like
for
the
you.
David Lynch of video game development?
I wouldn't go that far, but